The God Experiment by Matt Richardson. Part 1. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to play God? Some questions should stay unanswered. We selected 7 individuals for the study. My colleague found it important to have radical mixture of gender and sexual orientation. Discrete cameras were set up throughout the participants' homes and places of business. We instructed the subjects to proceed with their daily activities normally, as if nothing had changed. We then told our people a white lie. We told them that a team of scientists would be working to alter their lives. Allegedly, this group analyzed the recordings and applied subtle changes to the subjects' real-time routines. Each modification would be designed to improve personal productivity and overall contentment. We told subjects that they should not notice any differences whatsoever. It would be as simple as a passerby saying hi. We also forbid all contact with us during this time. The reality was that we did nothing. We just watched. In the interest of avoiding the ire of recent legal proceedings, I will avoid using last names. I worked with a respected sociologist named Thomas, or Tommy for short. Tom's prestige in the industry secured our funding in the first place. I considered myself the intern. My job entailed ordering pizza, bringing coffee, and answering phones. Sometimes Thomas allowed me to watch the cameras while he slept or left the building. Not a bad gig for a 23-year-old kid with a sociology degree. That changed after it soon started. My hatred for my job started when our first subject, Michael, began to behave erratically. The biography listed him as Subject 001, a straight white male, age 28. He stood at 6 feet 3 inches, he weighed 190 pounds, he had dark brown hair with a blemish on the upper right corner of his eyebrow. Mike did not have a girlfriend at the time. Thankfully, Tom considered that factor. It did not take long for things to go haywire. On the second day of record keeping, I caught Mike talking to himself in the middle of the night. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Are you sure? I don't want to do it. The noise nearly caused me to fall off my chair. The rest of the day had been silent. I checked the cameras twice, but found no one else there. Thomas had left the building on another one of his errands. I texted him an alert just as Michael jumped out of bed on the infrared and walked to his door. Camera 3. 001 is losing his marbles. Tommy walked to our makeshift laboratory a couple of minutes later. He wore a look of guarded excitement and an undersized white coat that barely covered his overstuffed belly. Crumbs on his jacket suggested that snacking had caused him to slack off next door, yet again. Tom looked fascinated when he saw the screen. He watched the monitor over my shoulder like a parrot. Michael banged his head against the wall. My colleague sounded downright giddy when he exclaimed, "It's happening! Record this, kid!" I did not know what "it" meant, but I followed orders. After about 20 head bangs, Michael stopped moving. We waited and watched for 10 minutes. We checked his vitals. Somehow, Michael was not injured. He only fell asleep, standing up. It's an eerie feeling to watch a man on the verge of losing his mind. The curtains in his apartment fluttered nervously in the wind. Every few hours, Michael roused himself from sleep and checked the window nervously, then returned to his perch by the bedroom door. He repeated this trend a few times throughout the night. He didn't get back in bed all evening. The next day, Michael got a promotion. We had nothing to do with it. We watched the whole thing from a hidden cubicle camera. Michael's boss sounded truly grateful. She considered Michael's job performance to be worthy of recognition. To boot, the firm had been particularly successful that quarter. That meant a big bonus. The shit-eating grin on Michael's face told us that he considered the experiment to be responsible. Our subject got very drunk that night. We did not capture the bar in our video feed. I did, however, catch his walk of shame home sometime around 2 in the morning. I adjusted the audio and found the guy talking to himself once again. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Are you sure? I don't want to do it. Michael walked into the apartment and flicked on a light switch. The room remained empty and quiet. He repeated his favorite little phrase over and over again. He futzed around the living room in an apparent panic. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Are you sure? I don't want to do it. It annoyed me. To be honest, I started to doubt my colleague. Unstable subjects tend to skew results. I had not considered the more dire consequences at the time. Who is he talking to? I asked. Tom didn't answer. Michael walked into the kitchen and grabbed a glass of water from the fridge. His movement seemed extremely erratic. The overall behavior reminded me of an animal with rabies, especially the way one leg dragged behind the other. Suddenly, as if hearing something, Michael stopped and stared out the kitchen window. Water spilled all over the floor. Michael stayed in that position for 5 minutes. Then, he offered one last line in the direction of the kitchen door. Are you sure? Then, he sprinted outside without another word. Switch to camera 4. Tommy barked over my shoulder. I did as I was told. I swear, that's it. The memory of this still keeps me up at night. Michael's drunken shape came back into focus on the green grass of the apartment complex. The receiver taped to his chest captured rapid breaths as his haphazard footsteps traced a path that led in only one direction. Headlights and horns blasted only 50 feet away. The freeway. Tom, this is a problem. This is a big fucking problem. I must have repeated that phrase 1,000 times, but my pleas were ignored by my wide-eyed companion. I grabbed the office phone and quickly tried to find an emergency contact. All the while, Michael teetered in between traffic carelessly like a missing toddler. There's nothing we can do, Tom muttered. What do you want me to say? Michael's body exploded the moment it met the tractor trailer. He died that day. Our benefactor compensated the family handsomely. Litigation was temporarily avoided. The God experiment continued with the remaining subjects, interrupted for 5 weeks. Part 2. The God experiment's second trial claimed a 29-year-old woman. Her name was Caroline. According to the bio, the subject stood at 5 feet 3 inches. She weighed 135 pounds. Caroline had dirty blonde hair that met mildly hazeled eyes, with astigmatism affecting both lenses. Survey results indicated a surprising lack of romantic partners in the picture. Regardless, she was a female who pursued men exclusively. That fact checked Tommy's second box. So entered subject 002. Caroline lived alone in a small apartment close to home. She preferred it that way. The short distance made it easy to check in on her mother, Jacqueline, twice a day. Jacqueline suffered from stage 2 breast cancer, and the debilitating results of the chemotherapy just started to take effect around the time of our study. But she never complained. Some had it worse. Her dad died from the same disease years back, and nobody wanted that. Her brother was working now, and Caroline considered that a good thing. But no one knew how long Sean could stay employed. Minimum wage positions tended to be seasonal. She told friends on the phone that the new job seemed lucrative but scary. What if something could happen to him? What if he died? If she lost either one, she might just lose her mind. And so, late at night, Caroline prayed. I liked to listen on the audio while Tommy snored in the hallway. She asked God for the same things we all do. A game-changing cure for her mom, maybe, who started to look thinner every day. Perhaps her brother could land a manager position at the new store in town. He has so much potential, she would say. Her voice rose slightly past a whisper every time she repeated that line. Give him the strength to apply himself this time. Caroline also asked God when it would be time to meet a man worth the wait. That last one seemed a lot less important than the rest though, and stayed noted as such in all prayers. She repeated the routine every single night. Nobody ever answered. That changed in the second week of our study. Jacqueline had an important doctor's appointment in the morning. Her daughter stayed up late into the night with worry. She said 17 prayers, 6 Hail Marys, 6 Our Fathers, and 5 personalized messages to the big man himself. Somehow, the kid got something right. Excitement overwhelmed the car's audio the moment the two of them got back inside. Jacqueline spoke with an apprehensive tone at first. "Wait, I didn't hear that, doctor. He mumbles when he talks. The chemo actually worked?" The backdrop of the corporate parking lot suddenly painted a beautiful scene. Mother and daughter embraced for long several moments. Static from the windbreakers corrupted the microphones for a moment. They both wiped tears from their eyes as they sat back in their seats. "The chemo actually worked," Caroline coughed a couple times to clear her voice. "Doctor said you need some follow-up scans, some new medicine, but no more treatment." She paused and looked at her mother with admiration. "You are in remission, young lady." I paused the video. The moment caused me to tear up as well. The poor, battle-worn woman smiled brightly underneath her wig. She looked young again. I guess the recognition of salvation took off 10 years. It was beautiful to see that something good happened, finally, in a string of so much bad. Tommy appeared over my shoulder. "Screenshot that." I did as told. We resumed the video a second later. "Call your brother. He worries." Caroline's mother usually wore a gruff and unfriendly expression, but today nothing could contain the excited sparkle in those weary eyes. "And let's get a drink!" "Oh, he's on the speakerphone. He called us," Caroline giggled. "Sean, can you hear us?" A confident young male voice crackled through the secondary audio. "Guess who just became a full-timer?" Both of Caroline's wishes came true that day. And so, the family celebrated well into the night. They chose a restaurant on the outskirts of town. We did not have this location on our camera feed. I hope they had a good time. Once again, our cameras caught a drunk subject stumbling home after hours. I was alone at the time. When I enhanced the audio, her nervous voice caused my blood to run cold. "Are they okay? Okay. Are they okay? Okay. Are they okay? Okay." Caroline mumbled the words on a loop like a depressing song. "Are they okay? Okay. Are they okay? Okay. Are they okay? Okay." Tommy promised his wife a real dinner for the first night and who knows how long. I promised to cover. I called and texted him about 1,000 times. "Subject 002, same symptoms. We cannot let this fucking happen again. Answer the fucking phone, Tommy." I did not receive a response. Caroline teetered around her family run in confused stutter step. She repeated her new phrase to the empty room a few more times. The whole thing seemed bizarre. Too bizarre for just a crazy night of drinking. I did not think drugs could have been involved. At least, not voluntary. The girl didn't even keep alcohol in her house. After 5 minutes, Caroline walked to the door and stepped into the rain. The temperature read 43 degrees Fahrenheit. She did not have shoes, a sweater, or a hat. I swapped through views as quickly as possible in order to catch up. After a few moments, the second camera found our subject in her backyard. A dusty cornfield sat on the corner of the rural property, and Caroline walked towards it slowly. She did not look worried or appear to be in a rush. The mic caught cool, calm, and collected breaths through the rain. In fact, for the first time in the entire experiment, she seemed at peace. The blood pressure and vitals lowered to healthier levels. Her pulse did not indicate any issues. Caroline reached the edge of the cornfield before long. She turned and took one last look towards the house and smiled. Part of me feels like she smiled at the camera. Without warning, a blunt object struck her from behind. I sat dumbfounded and helpless as a blurry shape dragged our subject away. The audio caught one last line before the mic fell into the maze. "Are they okay? Okay." Subject 002 is still missing to this day.